What's up, everybody? So we're gonna keep it short, simple, and sweet. Hopefully, let's talk about the stimulus package and what we actually get out of it. Quick question: have you guys ever seen a kid or ever been that kid who were afraid of needles and someone had to distract you so the doctor or whoever it is can stick you with that needle? Okay, I kind of think that's what happened to the average American, to us, the people. Um, and the needle is that stimulus check. This is what I mean. So, it's a lot of good things that's in this stimulus bill. Like, and I did notes. I got notes. Because I just didn't want to come in and bash and just go off the top of my head. I needed to come back myself up with notes. So here we go. The good things about this bill will be the $100 billion to the healthcare industry. They're going to give a 20% bump in Medicare payments for those treating patients with the disease or with the virus. They're going to give a $25 billion bump in food stamps and child nutrition. They're going to give $18 billion to SNAP. They're going to give businesses a business tax credit for keeping idle workers on their payroll during this whole pandemic. They would get a refund for half of what they would spend on wages up to $5,000 per worker. Also, the local governments will get $150 billion. The Pentagon will get $10.5 billion. Farmers and ranchers who was hurting before this outbreak is going to get $24 billion. They're also going to give the schools an extra $30 billion, which is needed, but I wonder which schools are going to get that money and how that money is allocated, because we all know which schools probably won't get that money. I live in the city of Detroit, and I don't think that money is going to reach this city, especially the way this city in this state is ran. So with that, they're also going to give $35 billion to small businesses. And I do believe they're going to have zero to very low interest rates, which begs the question, why have any interest rates at all? I understand that the banks have to make their money back, but they're also getting an increase in funds through the national or through the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve already said they were committed to doubling what they already were giving them every day anyway, and I do believe that's up to $1 trillion a day. It could be a month, but it could be a day. It's one of them. Either way it go, that's a lot of money. So why is there an interest rate? Better yet, let's move on to a whole nother fury of questions, which is the $500 billion that they're going to give to banks and certain industries. Now, if you go a little bit deeper in the stimulus bill, the industries and what they're going to do with that $500 billion is that the government is going to give $500 billion to the Federal Reserve, so the Federal Reserve can then print $4.5 trillion in credit or loans for banks and businesses, certain industries, like, again, the airline industry, like ExxonMobil, Apple, like Amazon. So you can believe all the companies that got the tax break last year are included in the $4.5 trillion. So what that tell you? I myself don't think it's fair. And just because we're getting something, a little bit of something, doesn't mean we can't question everything else, because that money can go somewhere else and not back into the people's pocket that don't need it. The $500 billion are taxpayers' money. So what happens to the profit of that $500 billion? What happened? What in return do the public get? So we are so concerned and we are so distracted with this one-time payment of $1,200 or whatever it is that you may get because you have a certain amount of kids, that they are actually giving big businesses another bailout if you guys don't understand, this is history repeating itself, because in the 2008 crash, due to the banks just giving out money and just squeezing out derivatives as much as they can and betting on people to fold on mortgages, guess what happened? They got bailed out. $4 trillion. No one even batted an eye. And so the same tactic that I do believe Obama used to pass his legislation for the crash, which people greatly needed, but the banks kind of benefited more so, and Wall Street benefited more so than the civilians did. So this is the same type of stimulus bill. Let's not be tricked. Let's not be so greedy and thirsty for that 1,200 that we don't sit back and actually question or look into what else is going on with the bill, because that $4.5 trillion does not go to medical supplies, does not go to infrastructure, it does not go to the schools, it does not go to the people who literally gave those businesses the tax break yet again unwillingly. These are the people that we put in office time and time again, and then we sit and ask why we don't have nothing. So like I said, it doesn't matter Republican or Democrat. No one went out on a limb to actually say that this was wrong. No one actually cared enough to say, hold on, wait, we're actually giving big businesses and banks too much, because like I said, banks are already getting funded. I do believe $1 trillion a day. And I understand there are different entities from the Federal Reserve and the government, even though the Federal Reserve is part of the government but acts separately outside of the government. And that's what I think. But what are you guys' thoughts? Is it okay if we get a little bit, they can get the most? Are you quiet just because you're going to get something? And remember, not everybody is going to get the same amount, which is crazy to me. The stimulus bill has so many loopholes in it, and it requires criticism. This is not good enough. It fixes a temporary problem for something that's going to have lingering effects, maybe even permanent effects. This is temporary. This stimulus bill is a Band-Aid. Let's not get too happy, people. We can hope, but let's not get too happy.